Hey, 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 y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Her Inner Circle. What's going on, Darian?
Good afternoon, Katie.
Hello, hello. I am super excited to jump into this topic with you because, and maybe I should let you share a little bit about your experience with managing others. But I think that you probably have a lot to share about the topic that we're going to dive into today. And it's something really simple, but super powerful: how to have a good conversation. I feel like it is a lost art, my friend.
I would 100% agree that it is a lost art. So I'm
And
excited to talk about this today.
I am super excited to talk about it. I have the what in my opinion are the top five conversation killers that I want to go through with you. But I'd like to pick your brain a little bit, just as a person that manages people, as a mom yourself, as a girlfriend yourself, as a business owner. Like, the power of conversation, I kind of feel, is everything. How you connect with one another, or another individual, I should say, and that energy that you put forth into that connection, they can feel it, even if it's not talked about, even if they can't see it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the way your cadence, your body language, your being open to receive the conversation, the questions you ask, I think they, can really make somebody feel seen or not.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely. And not feeling seen, in my personal opinion, and this is the way that it is for me, not feeling seen and heard is a real quick way for me to just figure out how I can get out of this situation and move on to the next.
Absolutely. And I think it's a lot deeper than probably we're gonna go today. Um, but I mean, if you think about, some of like how anxious the kids are now and
Yeah.
different things like that, I truly believe it comes down to not being able to have a conversation where they're feeling seen and heard. And everybody for that matter.
Agreed. Agreed. I also have noticed, and maybe this is just me, but I'd love to know what your feedback is, because we've been around the block a couple times, um, so far, right? Um, but there seems to be more anxiety, or maybe less comfort, I should say, with eye contact.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can agree, and it does make me feel a little awkward sometimes, even though I feel like I'm a pretty decent conversationalist, but that deep looking into each other's eyes, eye contact, I find myself looking away, looking up, looking behind you, things like that, because it just feels awkward. And
It,
I know it's not just me.
yeah, no, no, it can feel awkward. I feel that awkwardness, not with everybody. If I'm really comfortable and I'm feeling really energetic, like, energy is big for me. I don't talk about it a lot, but if I feel energetically, say that 10 times fast, connected to you, and I feel like we're kindred spirits, then I am not as anxious about that. My eyes are a little bit more fixed versus looking for something to fixate on. Do you feel
Sure.
like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that a way that you can feel energetically connected is by potentially avoiding these top five conversation killers, Darian.
Yes, absolutely. I'm excited to talk through them.
I know. So, my number one thing that will kill a conversation with me, and I've noticed it, out in the wild where there's people, I've noticed it killing conversations all over for quite some time, is when somebody steers the conversation consistently to themselves. So, like, I say something, and the next thing out of your mouth is you are redirecting the topic back to your own story and your own experience versus acknowledging what just came out of my mouth.
I think I think our reaction to doing that is almost to make the other person feel like they're being seen and heard because you can relate to what they're saying, but that's not how it's coming across, right?
Mm,
Not only that, but we're just waiting for our turn to speak
hmm
and turn it back to ourselves. to your point, I feel like the better way to follow up after somebody tells you something, you're listening, maybe they're looking for a response, is to maybe ask them a question about what they just said to
Mhm.
show that you're engaged and interested in what they're saying, or at least just acknowledging them, smiling, nodding, yes, tell me more, things like that, as opposed to, thinking we're helping or contributing to the conversation by turning it back to a story about ourselves.
I think what you just said was giant. Like we have to kind of stop here for a second and hang on that thought for a moment, because I think that it's absolutely accurate that the majority of the time the person that's doing that is trying to come up with a relatable experience. Like, yeah, me too. Like, how many times do we see on social media? Same girl, me too. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's that kind of. I think you're absolutely right. It's that kind of intention, but doesn't necessarily always come off like that because we can't read somebody else's mind. So I wouldn't be able to read in your mind that that's what your intention is for the comment that you made, right?
Absolutely. And as well-meaning as it can feel, I don't think it's coming across as well-meaning. I think it's coming across as, "Oh, no, no, now the conversation's about me."
Yeah. And that's not to say don't ever talk about yourself or don't
Exactly.
ever attempt to relate. But I like what you said about putting some space in it, like asking, maybe you have a rule inside your head and you don't have to say this out loud or anything, but maybe you ask 3 questions before you turn the topic to your experience or to something about yourself.
My rule is 2.
Oh, okay. So
My
you
rule is
actually
2
do that.
questions, yeah, and that's actually new for me. So in the past, like you said, I'm in leadership. I've been in leadership since 2015. And it was a skill that I had to learn because I found myself always going back to a relatable story about myself, or a
Mhm.
time win, or or even talking about somebody else's experiences. So waiting, pausing, asking the 2 questions. So I hope now that everybody's seen this and they're like, well, she asked me 2 questions. Um, it's because it is because I genuinely want to know. I'm genuinely listening, and I genuinely want to know. And it helps me um, take in what you've said, and then it'll help it land with me if I ask you 2 follow-up questions.
Yeah, well, even having that rule for yourself, even though it's kind of your own rule, you're not bringing it to light in any conversations, most likely. Like, even having that type of discipline, let's just say, to me, only shows that you care about your position in the conversation with the other person, not being, not shutting them down, not killing the conversation, in other words.
Absolutely. I mean, and it just shows that you're open, you're paying attention
Mhm.
if you're asking follow-up questions to what they said. So it's definitely going to keep the conversation going.
For sure. What do you feel, or how do you feel about just simply saying, hey, like maybe you're just getting into this practice and you're trying to move away from the habit of doing this, if that's something you want to do. What do you think about just saying to the other person, I heard you, and maybe even repeating a little bit about their story so that it
Mhm.
shows that you did hear. And I want to share a story about myself, not to take any attention away from what you said. I absorbed all of that. I hear you, I see you, but I want to mention this because I can really relate with you. What about just
Sure.
saying it?
Yeah, and especially if it's very relevant, maybe it's the exact same situation. Maybe you didn't feel the exact same way in that moment. But maybe it's something very traumatic or big in your life that happened, a big turning point in your life, whether like, you lost a parent or you're going through divorce. Those are really big things in people's lives
Mhm.
where if they have somebody on the other end that feels like that they can relate, they understand that they're not alone. So
Yeah.
I would definitely say that that's a great way to go about it, is just to say, hey, thank you for sharing that with me. Would you mind if I shared a similar situation with you?
Yeah. Yeah. And then that's actually just vocalizing, hey, I heard you. Yeah, I'm here listening to you. but let's continue the conversation and let me relate to you. I like that.
Yeah, I would
And
agree.
number two, this is a big one. They're all big, but this is a big one. This one drives me absolutely crazy, and I probably do it. There's actually a joke out there in Mom Nation land about how I do this, and I need to really work on that. So that's been a focus of mine as of late. But interrupting people mid sentence, when you cut them off, it can make people feel dismissed and rushed. And oftentimes, I've noticed, and you may have noticed too in your travels, if people can't finish their thoughts, they're just going to stop sharing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I find myself doing it too, and I think it's because I get excited,
Yeah.
right? We get excited that we're like, "Yes, this is a great conversation. I wanna," and especially because our travels have been long, and the longer your travels have been, the more apt you are to forget what your point was and what you were gonna say. So sometimes you feel like you have to jump in and say it now, or else you're gonna forget.
Do you have a, yeah, I've witnessed that. And actually, my husband taught me this little trick, and I've used it. It does work. So I'm going to share it with you. And maybe you have some little tricks for this too. But when he thinks of something, when somebody else is talking and he doesn't want to forget it, because again, we can get, 2, 3 sentences down the road and whoops, that's gone. He crosses his fingers, whether it be like under the table or in his pocket or whatever. And that tends to help him remind himself what he was going to add to the conversation once it's an appropriate time to do so.
It's genius.
Right?
Yes, absolutely. Now I have something because 'cause I've never had anything, and it's once it's gone, it's gone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then my thought is, if I forgot it that quickly, it's probably not that important anyway.
Well, though, it's going to come back to you when you're like driving home at night after work and you're, worlds apart from that conversation now. It's going to be like, oh, yeah, that's what.
I remember what I was gonna tell you.
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
Happens all the time, but the interrupting, when somebody does it to me, I just let them go, honestly. I'm just like, obviously what you had to say was more important than the thought that I was going to finish, so go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's more, I would say maybe, with our kiddos because they're excited and they're excitable. And occasionally when I'm in a one-on-one or I'm in a meeting, but I feel like, yeah, it can be very disruptive to the conversation and a really good one to bring in as a conversation killer.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I feel like there are some signs that indicate when somebody has completed their thought, and then it is the appropriate time for you to enter your thought. So, signs like somebody takes a breath, something like that. So, do you have any tricks where you can help you sort of pinpoint those times when it's time for you to talk, or is that just more natural for you?
I think it's pretty natural, and especially because I've genuinely made a practice of mindfully listening that I can spot those times now. So I think these things definitely take practice. And that's not to say that we're bad people. It's not to say that we don't care. I think these things take practice.
Yeah.
So, really intentionally, mindfully listening to somebody else talk and waiting to speak, even thinking of questions to ask them right there in the moment, these things are going to take practice. So, just taking the time, and if you're listening and you're watching and you're like, yes, this is me, I'm so grateful I'm listening to this podcast, step one is done, is because you care and you want to improve your conversational skills.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to take some time and some practice. So just listening for those cues. To your point, once they take a breath, if they've finished a thought, they've come to a stopping point, then yes, you can jump right in with your two questions.
Yeah. Agreed. How difficult, and this is probably a different answer for every person, but how difficult is it in some cases to quiet all the things that are going on in your mind and just listen to the person? Like just be real in the moment at that time.
Oh, it can be. I mean, depending on the conversation, especially if I'm in like a meeting, right?
Mm,
My mind starts going to what am I making for dinner and what am I going to do at the gym tonight and all of the different things. So, it can take some practice. So some of the things that I do, and it's just I can't say that this is just for me because I've practiced yoga and mindfulness and breath work and all the different things, is just really bringing myself back, focusing on their face, listening to what they're saying, and I'll say something to myself like, just this. So that's one of my favorite ways to bring myself back into the moment is take a breath and say to myself, just this. So that
mhm,
reminds me that we're just focused. We're just in this moment. We're going to stay right here. We're going to keep focusing on this one person. So trying different tricks for yourself that allow you to just come right back into the moment, whether it's a one on one conversation or if you're like me, where you're in a lot of meetings, where you can get distracted easily. And
mhm.
especially, we're in a distracted world. It is what it is. Our phones are going off, our emails, somebody's walking in. So being able to bring yourself back to the moment is definitely a practice. So, like I said, if you want to use just this, or maybe it's come back, whatever your little two-word mantra or something might be, taking a breath to bring you back into the moment, is definitely something that helps me.
Totally agree. How much of our lives do you think we live outside of the current moment,
99.999.
right? What a giant,
Absolutely.
giant question that is, isn't it? Like, what a conversation that is.
I mean, we're always thinking of what's next or what happened. It's
Mhm,
very rare that we are sitting in the moment telling ourselves just this.
mhm.
I mean, I've been
Very.
doing it for years and it still takes me a lot of practice to get into that moment. I mean, it'll take meditation for maybe seconds of staying in the moment.
Mhm, mhm. I was gonna say that's probably a big thing, or a big topic for what you teach and what you do, with the yoga and meditation and all of that stuff, really helping women live in the moment.
Yeah, because we're always, and they, not to get too deep into this, but they say that any moment that you're not in the moment is like a moment of suffering because you're trying to predict the future or you're rehashing the past.
Yeah, man. I wonder when we started doing that.
It's always been that way. Unless we were just living in a cave meditating, that's just life.
Yeah, I mean, it's kinda something to be said about going back to that lifestyle, isn't
Right.
there?
I'm good. I'm good.
No, I like showers, thanks.
Mhm. Mhm.
All right, number 3. This is a big one too. I'm gonna say that on every single one of them because 'cause they're all huge for me, but giving advice that nobody asked for. So, having a conversation and then when it's your turn to talk or when you take the turn to talk, jumping straight into fixing someone's problem without really truly stopping to make them feel heard, acknowledged, maybe offering a little empathy or something, before you start spouting off with all of your wonderful solutions.
So that's a really big deal, and it's something that we talk about in every women's circle is we never use "you should."
Mm,
We never start a comment, phrase, anything with "you should." And we always say that if you are sharing something and you want feedback, you want suggestions, to ask for them. Otherwise, we're not gonna offer them because, to your point, somebody not doesn't necessarily want a suggestion, they just wanna be heard.
yeah,
So I feel like it's really important to make sure, even when I'm having a conversation with my kiddo and I say, "Are you telling me because you want me to do something about this? Or are you telling me because you just want me to listen?" So it's asking that question of like, "Thank you for sharing that with me. Do you want me to share my experience? Or are you just telling me because you want me to hear you?"
hmm
So if it's a big enough topic and if it's a big enough conversation, I think it's fair to ask that question as opposed to just jumping in and saying, "Well, you know what you should do?"
mm,
Or, "Have you tried?" Different things like that because they don't necessarily want your advice.
right. Right. Like, depending on the topic, maybe they're not looking to fix it. Maybe they're just looking to get themselves through it.
I would agree, and I'm not trying to throw the men under the bus, but I feel like it is, men want to fix. I mean, that's their
Yes.
go-to, right? they want to fix, especially if, if that's their partner, they want to help you fix the problem. So, it's a good opportunity to tell your significant other of, hey, I want to share something with you, or sometimes I don't need you to jump in and fix this for me. I just want you to hear me. So, just putting that out there first.
I love that you brought that up because, and again, this is not a men bashing episode whatsoever, but I do have that situation quite often in my relationship. But I think that it's really brilliant and giant that you said, just tell him because he can't read your mind. And he probably thinks he's doing his husbandly duty and doing a darn good job as man to, to help out. Whereas I think a lot of times we're obviously very different, like men and women are different, right? I think a lot of times that's what we want is to just like, come here and hug me while I cry. And I don't really need you to tell me what to do differently, but can I just cry? you know?
Or I just want to tell you about this problem at work, or I just want, because sometimes it feels really good to just get it out of your body,
Yeah.
right? And when you have a partner or significant other, they're your go-to, right? Especially if it's like you can't talk to another coworker about it, or
Yeah.
your kids, or whatever the case may be. So they're your go-to. So just maybe setting the stage of like, I just need you to listen to me right now. I don't need any advice or how to fix this. Please just hear me so I can get this out.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely and this is I'm just speaking from my personal experience, but it definitely feels like it kills connection when that happens and that's not what you're looking for. It's just like,
Oh,
all right,
yeah, and then it
I'm
makes you not wanna do it again. It makes you
yeah,
wanna retreat, like, all the things where you're just like, I you're not gonna be my go-to next time if when I say something, you're automatically trying to come to my rescue, because we don't always need to be rescued. Sometimes we just wanna be heard.
100%. I don't know, and again, it's not everything is true for everybody, but I don't know if they like just eventually like learn this lesson along the way because my dad, as you know, I help my dad out. He's, starting to get a little bit older, and my dad just listens. So I could literally call my dad and be like, "Hey dad, all this stuff happened today." And he'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, honey." Well, tomorrow's another day, honey. And I'm like, "Share this with my husband. Teach him."
It very well could be. I mean, I feel like maybe it's instinctual for our partners to want to help us.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little bit different for the dads who are just like, "You know what? You got this."
Yeah. Like, he'll live, dust
You
it off,
you're
rub
you're
some
gonna be
dirt on
fine.
it.
Yeah.
It's how we grew up. I saw this. I got to tell you this because this was so funny. I totally know it's off topic, guys, but we're Gen X, and I saw this reel out there that said it was from like a younger generation, and they were like, "Why did you guys drink from the hose? Like that's ridiculous. Wasn't there a sink around at least that you could go drink from?" And this Gen X woman answers it, and she goes, "We weren't allowed in the house until the sun went down."
Do
So true.
not come in the house.
Yeah, us
Right?
poor Gen Xers.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. So number 4, giant one. I think especially now, this is a lot more common with, like you mentioned, having our phones right in our pocket. Like these are legit computers that you and I didn't have in the first grade. We had these kind of computers that were giant sitting on the desk. You couldn't move them if you didn't have 3 or 4 people to help you out. And now we have 10 times that or 100 times that computing power like in our pockets, right? Super crazy. But checking your phone or looking at your phone or scrolling your phone while you're in a conversation with somebody else, there's probably no faster conversation killer than that for me.
Oh, it's painful. It is absolutely painful. So the way that I really try to be mindful of this is I try to be the example. And I'm not trying to be a martyr. I'm not trying to say, oh, I'm the best at this, because it's a struggle. But when somebody walks into my office and they need to talk to me, I will turn away from my computer, turn away from my phone, turn my whole body toward them. And if I'm in the middle of something, I'll be like, give me 2 seconds, have a seat, give me 2 seconds. Let me finish this thought. I'm going to turn my whole body toward you, away from all my distractions, look right at you so you can tell me what it is that you need.
Mhm.
The other thing that I think is really I mean, and I even do this at home. So when I get home from work at the end of the day and I'm sitting down with my daughter, sometimes we'll sit next to each other and scroll a little bit. Don't get me wrong. We're still human, right? But
Right.
for the most part, we kind of have a rule. It's like the phones are away and we're just engaged with each other. So, whether it's at dinner, whether it's at a restaurant, whether we're even in the car, I think it's just really rude.
Mhm. It is really rude.
When you're having one-on-one time with somebody, whatever the case may be, even if you are just sitting next to each other on the couch, it just feels so off-putting if somebody's just sitting there on their phone. Whether
Mhm.
you're in a relationship, whether it's with your kids, your friends, your coworkers. The other thing is I do a lot of presentations for my team. So actually not a lot, but once a month, and we're all in person and it's a required meeting. It's a mandatory meeting. So I try to make it, conversational as opposed to me just talking at my team. So there's nothing more off-putting than when I look up and somebody's on their phone. Now,
Mm.
granted, we're in sales, we're very busy people, but I'm just like, I am laser focused on you if we are in a meeting and you get on your phone.
Mhm.
It's just it is just so incredibly rude in my opinion. And what I'm seeing now, and it just kills me, is I see groups of kids sitting, walking in a group, and they're all on their phones.
They're probably texting each other.
I'm
That's
just
crazy.
like, it is crazy. Or people walking their dogs on their phones, people at the park with their kids on their phones. And I'm just like, taking it back to 5 minutes ago when we're talking about mindfulness and things like that. Those are just simple things that you can do
Mhm.
with them.
Yeah, 100%. And as much as I think that I'm super talented and I can focus on 2 things at once, can I really?
I mean, I think there's some recent science out there that says we cannot multitask. Multitasking is a myth.
It's just not a thing.
It's just not a thing. And I'm right there with you where I think that I can do multiple things at once. But the further down in my journey I get, the more I realize that it's
Nope.
not true. It is not true. And especially with all of the distractions that we have. Like we we are not equipped as humans to do more than one thing at a time.
Agreed. And I'm going to say this, I feel like it's hard enough already to have a full understanding of what somebody else might be trying to tell you, that without having a distraction in the way that could be pulling you even further away from that. So are we misunderstanding people more and more?
Oh, 100%. I
I
I
think so.
guarantee. I guarantee. And we're just missing things.
Mhm.
When you're not engaged, you are missing things. Whether again, and these are the important people in your life. Think about your kids, your significant other, your parents, whoever it may be. Like they're not getting all of you, and you're not getting all of them if we're
Yep.
constantly distracted.
Yeah. Think about all of that we don't even know we're missing that we are.
So if you're having, and here's the other part of this is if you're not able to engage in social interactions, that's also causing a lot of anxiety. So I'll see these posts or people that are like, I'm so anxious all the time. I'm like, get off of your phone and go outside for 5 minutes, right? I mean, it seems so simple. And granted, I have struggled with, some uh mental health issues my entire life. But I'll tell you what helps getting off my phone, moving my body, getting outside, having a conversation with a loved one where I'm fully engaged and just staying in the moment, sitting on the floor with my dog. Um, and I feel like being able to do those things really does help my anxiety. So just trying little things like that, really tuning into a conversation, I think can really help with some anxiety.
I agree. And I'm going to say something that I have probably no business saying at all because I am not an expertise in this area, but I think it's a problem and I think it's a thing. But the quick, constant dopamine release that we get from being on our phones. Oh, they liked my post. Oh, there's a new comment. Or, oh, and insert interesting, fun thing here. Like, I think that's affecting our ability to live IRL in real life with because in real life we don't get that constant quick dopamine release.
It's so true. It's so true. And I think I would agree with you. I'm not an expert in this area either. Self-proclaimed, but I would 100% agree because there's nothing like that other than, maybe a walk or,
Mm,
spending time with a loved one, getting some exercise, things like that. Those are the only other areas in your life that you're going to be able to find that. And it's not nearly as quick.
not nearly as quick unless you're cuddling with your puppy, and then I suppose it is.
Oh, yeah, it's instant.
Oh, I love my dog. Anyway, lastly, the last one that I have on the list, and I'm sure there's many more, guys, but these are just kind of the ones that I had picked to talk about today. And it's something we sort of mentioned at the beginning of the episode, but not asking questions. Good conversations they're collaborative, right? Like, and showing that curiosity to the person that you're in conversation with, I feel is really important to that conversation continuing versus dialogue just kind of petering out and dying quick.
Absolutely. So, in business, I like to this is something that I just recently started doing the last few years. I've been in business for, 25 years, but just recently is really starting to do a little research before I meet with somebody. So I meet
Mm,
with a lot of manufacturers, a lot of salespeople, that they just want to come in and talk about their latest widget, right? So whether they're new to me or I've known them for a while and I know their products, or if I'm going into an interview. So I interview a lot of people too. So I really try to do a little bit of research before I go in. So it might be a little bit of a cheat code, and you can't always do this. Like going to meet a girlfriend for coffee. Granted, you might have seen what's going on with her on Facebook, or you might have had a couple texts before you go to meet her, but just doing a little research and just knowing the things that you wanna ask that person before you see them. You might run into somebody at the grocery store. You're not gonna know what you wanna ask that person, but maybe doing a little research beforehand. Looking into for me, I'm looking into somebody's company. I'm looking at the products they sell. I'm looking at, how long have they been in business and who do they report to? Whatever the case may be, just preparing myself with a couple of questions before I'm going in to meet with somebody so that I get the answers that I want, right?
mm-hmm.
And B, and it shows that I'm engaged. It shows that I care about what
You
they're coming
care.
to talk to me about. Yes, and I think that's
Absolutely.
really important.
That's so huge. And I love that you said that. And I know that, depending on the situation, like you mentioned a couple of examples there. If you're going to meet a girlfriend for coffee and, maybe you know a couple of things, maybe you don't, maybe it might be difficult to prepare ahead of time with what questions that you want to ask her. But in those situations, the more social situations, in the business situation, a little bit different, right? Like, who your day and age, do research as you do. But in social situations, my trick is the old Ford trick. Do you know what the old Ford trick is?
No, tell me.
It's really helpful. So, Ford stands for family, occupation, recreation, and dreams.
Love it.
Those four things people will talk about till the cows come home. Think about that. Think about if you and I sat down to have a cup of coffee and I started asking you about your daughter.
All
Like,
day.
I'm going to go from there, right? Because we both have family. And I'm sure that then you'll be like, well, what's up with your son, or whatever the case may be, and whatever the topic may be.
Yes.
I love it.
Mhm.
I'm going to talk about that all day too. So when we sit down and you start asking me about, whatever it is that I did all week long in my job, all week long, you're going to have my attention for that one.
Absolutely. I love that Ford trick. I'm gonna write that down.
Heck yeah. It's gotten me, I don't want to say out of some situations. It's gotten me into some situations, let's just say. Let's flip that around a little bit. It's gotten me into some really great conversations, some really great situations, some really great opportunities to meet really awesome people just because I took the time to ask people questions.
Well, and it feels genuine, right?
Mhm.
Like it feels genuine, and I mean, I know you, so I know that it is genuine. So I think that's another area where people could practice, what questions they want, what forward questions do they want to ask, right?
Yeah,
I think that is brilliant. I'm excited to try it.
it is. And you'll love it. One thing, though, that I do want to mention, and this is something that I have experienced, I'm curious if you have as well. There are some individuals out there that do have a lot of anxiety, I've noticed, around answering questions, even if they're like basic, pretty simple, non threatening, don't, they know the answer kind of thing. I have run into that. And that can be challenging. Have you run into that at all?
Yeah, so I mean, I would say women's circle because we get pretty deep. We
Okay.
get they're not as surface conversations. They get pretty deep. So sometimes people don't want to answer a question, and that's okay. I'm just like we'll skip you. We'll go on to the next.
Yeah.
But it could be just very simple. And sometimes people don't like to be challenged,
Mm,
or they're not comfortable answering a certain question. And it's I find it pretty easy to move on.
hmm.
But that's again, it's a learned skill. I don't think everybody just knows offhand, oh my, well, that got awkward. Where
Yeah.
do I go now?
Ford.
Forward. So, anyways,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I've definitely experienced that. So you're not alone in that.
And I always wonder, and I can think of a couple of people off the top of my head right now that seem to have that anxiety. And I'm not calling them out. It's totally okay. Everybody's an individual. But I always wonder, like, how come? I wonder what happened or what didn't happen in their lives to create that amount of anxiety around even the most basic of questions. I feel for people in that regard.
Yeah, it makes me I always go back to childhood of maybe, they got in trouble for speaking their minds or things like that growing up, that was something that they carried with them into adulthood.
Or children should be seen and not heard kind of
Mhm.
crap. I don't know whoever came up with that, but they're not going to be on my podcast. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Facts.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Well, thank you, Darian, because we're like pushing 40 minutes here. And I'm like, I feel like I could talk to you about this all day
Agreed.
because I mean, for you, it sounds like in your business, in your world, conversation and connection is really important. It certainly is in my business and in my world, and I want it to be. I mean, what is life without connection with other humans?
It's my favorite thing about everything that I do.
Sames, sames. Well,
Mhm.
hopefully, ladies, this conversation was helpful for you. Helped give you. I love the tips and the tricks that we shared. That was
Me
really
too.
cool. Things that
Absolutely.
can just really kind of help you succeed, help you create that conversation that you want to be a part of. That's really valuable for you and the other party. So hopefully everybody liked it, and you're going to be able to use some of those tricks. I know you are.
Absolutely. And I would be like, say I occasionally use ChatGPT to help me along the way.
Yeah. I mean, whatever, right? Sometimes
Yes,
we need tools, and that is just the way it goes. And why not? Why not lean on technology a little bit? If it can help us, why not?
absolutely. That's where it comes in handy.
Yeah, except for don't be looking at your phone while we're having a conversation because we talked about that. All right, guys, thank you so much for being with us yet again for another month. If you like these conversations where Darian and I just talk about being girlfriends, how you can be a better girlfriend in terms of connection and really value for yourself, like how you can really get out there in the wild where it's very people-y and have successful relationships. We really hope that this is helping you to do that at whatever level and whatever spot in your journey you are. And if it is, do us a favor and hit the subscribe button or the follow button on whatever platform that you are listening or watching this on. If you want to check out any of our previous episodes, hop on over to our YouTube channel. It is at Mom Nation USA. That's our handle. Scroll down just a little ways. You will see the bright green Her Inner Circle playlist, and there you can binge just like Netflix and watch all of our previous episodes because we've racked up a few under our belt by now. So I highly suggest checking those out. Or on your favorite podcast platform, do a quick search for Mom Nation Talk Radio. There you will find us. Like, notify, follow, all the things. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, friends.
Bye.
What if success didn't have to feel so exhausting? What if you could achieve more without burning out? Meet Darian Pruitt, a wellness guide and women's empowerment coach for high-achieving women who are ready to release burnout and realign with who they truly are through yoga, breathwork, and intentional movement, sound bath meditation, women's circles and community workshops, Reiki energy healing, and holistic mindfulness practices. Darian helps you reset your nervous system, reconnect with your body, and reclaim your inner power. It's time to stop running on empty, realign, restore, rise. Contact Darian Pruitt today and begin your transformation.